Let's look at well, this is the serious part of our, discussion today, and that is the numbers in Victoria. But you look to New South Wales, are they going to end up in the same situation? What's your sense of it? What are you hearing from your sources?
Look, there's definitely a real fear in New South Wales about it, including in the community. You can sense it up there. But with these numbers and daily new cases around the 15 to 20 mark in Sydney, there's been speculation that pubs and restaurants might be shut down again in New South Wales, something that would have a real impact on the economy and on those JobKeeper estimates we talked about earlier. I'm reliably told, Kieran, that such closures are just not on the agenda at the moment. But if figures were to get to around 100 new cases a day, then that would be happening. Those closures would be happening. So keep an eye on that daily number. If you're a business or an employee, on Sky News, that will give you an indication of where things are heading in terms of possible shutdowns. Gyms might happen, I think, before pubs and restaurants. I guess we've all got to hope, New South Wales businesses and everyone from the PM and Treasurer down, that the daily numbers don't lift and the contact tracing can keep a hold on it. In terms of Victoria, yes, very bad numbers. I feel sorry for all Victorians at the moment with another shutdown, how devastating. But health sources tell me that it's too early to speculate, Kieran, on a longer shutdown than 6 weeks in Victoria. We'll know more when we see case numbers in 2 weeks. That's when an assessment will be made, I'm told, as to whether the 6-week shutdown is sufficient. I guess people just have to have patience at the moment.
Yeah, very difficult indeed. For them, the human toll is huge. The economic toll is huge as well. It's 1/4 of the nation's economy in that state. Now, Matthias Cormann, the Finance Minister, he's been the longest-serving minister in this coalition government, stayed in the same portfolio right throughout, but his departure at the end of the year is looming. And if politicians like to talk about one thing more than elections, it's reshuffles.
Yeah, reshuffle. Certainly, it's unavoidable to have talk about it at this point. Glad I didn't ask the PM about it. He might have said he wasn't interested in politics. But the hot tip to succeed Matthias Cormann in finance is Simon Birmingham, who will also succeed him as the government leader in the Senate. Doesn't get his own choice of portfolio like the deputy leader, but almost as good as. And I understand he's after a domestic portfolio. And, that would be a step up for him. Very important job, that one. There had been talk the Home Affairs Minister, Peter Dutton, might want to change to finance. Also speculation that Scott Morrison might move his old leadership rival to defence. But just as much chance, I suspect, that Peter Dutton would stay in Home Affairs, and it would be a pretty minimalist reshuffle. Some Morrison supporters from the leadership spill, Stuart Robert or Alex Hawke, they might want promotion to a portfolio like Home Affairs. Stuart Robert, there'd be some differing opinions on a promotion for him. But one thing you can rely on for sure, Kieran, I'd say, is the promotion of Morrison ally and the Minister assisting the Prime Minister, Ben Morton, to Cabinet. Of course, all of that to take place at the end of the year.
Yep, and when you say that Ben Morton is a lock for the Cabinet spot,
$1.10, I reckon.
Why is that?
Oh, look, I think he's performed reasonably well, but I also just think that Scott Morrison actually relies on him for his advice, trusts him implicitly. He's probably the most loyal MP to Scott Morrison, probably make a few people cranky there, but I think he really is sort of a number 2 man to Scott Morrison in a lot of respects. And there's a belief from people from within the Cabinet that he deserves that promotion.
Former bus driver from Gosford, Ben Morton. And finally, before you go, Peter Dutton, what do you think he wants to do next? Is it stay in Home Affairs?
Well, I think he'd want to stay in Home Affairs if he didn't go to finance, and indeed if he's not going to become Prime Minister in a hurry. So that's the job we all know he wanted, but quite likely you'll know whether he gets what he wants from what happens at the end of the year. He'd be quite happy to stay in Home Affairs.
Andrew, thanks. We'll talk to you at the top of the hour.